We came, we gathered, and we got a big old-fashioned reality check that we are still a long, long way off. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, here with you for another Monday review podcast, and joining me for the first time in 2024 is Mert. Hello, bud.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good.
We should just do the swear warning from the top, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
There's going to be a few swear words, listeners, so yeah, listen up.
Yeah, if little Freddie, whatever his name was, who sent a hot take last week's listening, maybe skip it this week.
Yeah, Freddie, first of all, stop going for Essendon.
Yeah.
Give you the red hot, all right? Don't listen to this podcast, secondly. If you're going to continue, then there's going to be a bit of swearing.
Yep. And back again, James. Hello, mate.
G'day, Rob. Good to be here, sort of. Good to be with Mert. I think the warning should be sent out nice and early here. Mert coming off the long run up. We haven't seen him this year yet, so I'm a little bit scared in terms of what's coming this way. And well, yeah, if little Freddie's going for Essendon, he should probably get used to the swear words as well, I think. So let him have it. Let him have it.
I feel like this is your first proper pod because you've had a couple of where we've gone, things are going okay, but now is like, this is the real stuff. This is normal, I think.
Yeah, we've been on the straight and narrow, but we might be loosening up a little bit for this one. Back to normal, some would say.
Joel, are you on your phone?
Yeah. Just looking to get some new team kits for my social clubs.
What sport are you playing?
Basketball, soccer, footy, rugby, cricket, pickleball, tennis, netball, a bit of esports. Yep.
Gee, bit of a jack of all trades, Joel.
Yeah, well, I've got a pickleball background.
Oh, it's that's important for the podcast game, the old pickleball background. Where are you getting these kits from?
I get my kits from First Ever Custom. You actually get 10% off when you check out using the discount code SASH10.
So all of those team kits for all those different sports you mentioned, you're going to get 10% off.
Yeah, that's right. So the credit card's getting a bit of a workout, but I generally leave things to the last minute, and only 15 business days turnaround for delivery, so I'm going to get them quickly.
Only 15 business days. When does pickleball season start?
There's many seasons.
Many seasons.
Yeah.
All year round. Well, that's Don's Footy, baby. You can check the links on our socials and in the episode description. All right. Well, gee, where do we begin? I think we can say the first quarter was okay, and then it kind of unraveled from there very, 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 very quickly. And I don't know. I guess, the good and bad thing about a Friday night is it's bad that you have a weekend to stew on it. But for at least the show come Monday, I've had a bit of time to reflect. And if you saw my emotional state in the post-match video, I certainly wasn't happy. But
I just don't think we should ever get Friday night games. And unfortunately, we've got another one coming up.
We've got two more in a row.
Yeah, happy days.
We've got two more in a row.
Good fixturing by the AFL. Never, ever put us on any big games.
Yeah. Back to Sunday 4:40 where we belong, I think. But yeah, God, I'm already looking at Friday's game very, very daunting compared to where I was on last Thursday night, being like, we might be a bit of a crack. And you know what? In that first quarter, I felt like we were putting in a pretty good crack. Although the one thing I remember thinking in my head, I was like, it does feel like we're working really hard for our goals. And then when they were scoring, it seemed to come quite easily at the time.
It was one of those starts where we had our chances and we just didn't take them at all.
Yeah.
I think that was capped off at kind of the end of that first quarter with Mert missing a very gettable one. Not being overly critical of Mert in this pod tonight, for obvious reasons, but we just didn't take our opportunities from the start.
Yeah, I think Gresham was probably, he's one of the only ones who had an okay game and kind of played his role, but he seemed to be the only one impacting up forward. And yeah, like you said, just, that little bit of scoreboard pressure can go a long way, even if the team does come back in the end. But because, I think they were 3 or 4 straight and then we were 3-3 or something like that. And then I don't know. The front fell off.
Yeah, I think it's always the gap between the mediocre sides and the good sides, is the good sides can do it for 4 quarters, and we showed we could go with them for the best part of probably 20 minutes, and then the quality took over. So that was disappointing. Probably hurt more from a supporter side of things when you almost get your hopes up, only to have them thrown back in the bin pretty quickly. But yeah, those last 3 quarters really disappointing. There's quite a few negatives we can obviously talk about, both individuals and team aspects. But yeah, trying to find the goods and the positives this week was a struggle.
Few and far between. Aren't you glad we didn't go, Mert? That's a positive. We didn't go.
Yeah, fucking oath. Glad the club's one more game closer to folding. Fucking pathetic.
Yeah, I feel for those who spent their hard earned and flew over or drove over, or even the locals in South Australia who only get to see the Bombers on the Adelaide Oval a couple of times a year, if that, sometimes only once a year. So I feel sorry for all those people. But yeah, it just look, everything was right for Port Adelaide. Like, it's gather round, it's Friday night, the bloody state premier's there, everyone's there. It's all about Adelaide. And all the lights are on Essendon, and
they get Essendon. They get the biggest bunch of pea hearts in the league.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't have asked for anything more.
Yeah, exactly. It's so disappointing because I feel like any sort of respect that we might have garnered from people over the last couple of weeks has definitely disappeared. My own personal sparks disappeared after that.
I mean, just on that though, there's way too much chat coming from the club. Like, when you've got Nick Cox of all people coming out and saying that we just want to play in this, be seen as to be playing in an aggressive way and all this shit, and he's happy to talk the talk, but the way he played was just disgraceful.
Yeah, I've been pumping up Coxie pretty hard the last few weeks, and he was nothing short of shocking.
Well, I really thought he'd turned a corner with his first few games. I thought he was actually attacking the contest a lot better. He showed some explosion with the football that I haven't seen him really since his first handful of games. I haven't seen him do that. He's taking on the contest. He got caught a couple of times, but he actually looked like he was, he's trying something new. Maybe the coach has got in his ear or something like that. A bit more intensity around the ball. And yeah, he took so many steps backwards on that front on Friday night. He wasn't alone.
He was not alone.
No, he wasn't alone. But disappointing with Coxie. And I don't know where he plays. I don't know what his role is. I'm not sure if he knows what his role is.
No.
He sort of brought, as Mert said, a bit of physicality, which we hadn't seen from him at the start of the year. That regressed really, really quickly. Some of those efforts in the replays of Port coming out of the front of those stoppages of Coxie's one-handed or one arm, I don't even know if you'd call it a tackle effort.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even get that far. Was seriously questionable. And then his decision-making execution on the weekend, but sort of generally speaking as well, was rubbish. He had 16 disposals and 8 of those were turnovers. Every second possession, he gave it back to them.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're actually hoping he doesn't get the footy, and that's never good.
No. Dark areas.
I just, big question mark for him. I don't know where he fits into our side.
Yeah, because I think how they want him to be is they want him to be the Mr. Fix-It. They want him to be Blitzarves 2.0. And right now, we have 3 key defenders on the long-term injury list, and so we're like, all right, we need to play him as a key defender, and he's just not up for that right now.
Well, I think we've ruined him partly because we ruined every single player that comes on our list, but we've ruined him because we put him on a wing and we fucked around with him on a wing for far too long. That experiment should have finished at the end of his first season. It was, a bit of a learning kind of curve for him. Great, he gets that experience. Now we put him in put him either forward or back from there. We didn't do that.
Yep.
Devoid of confidence, and now he actually showed a little bit in his first couple of games. Set down back this year, and yeah, I don't know. Personally, I just don't think he's up to it. Might be a big call early on, but I just don't see any. I don't see that innate desire for the contest that you see in good players. You see that in Archie Perkins. You don't see that in Nick Cox.
No, definitely not at the moment. And yeah, I thought there were really good signs from him in the first few weeks, but it feels like it's all unravelled.
I've got an interesting comparison for you.
Yeah, sure.
And this is just out of yesterday's Gold Coast game. It's a bit left field, but this is where I feel Nick Cox could be playing, and he's not. This guy isn't like an established star by any means, but I saw Mac Andrew play.
Similar frame, yeah.
Similar frame, playing kind of key defensive position, but he's a rake, and he's a monster, but he's a rake. And he had ridiculous numbers of intercept possessions. Like he was in the high teens for them. Turned the ball over a little bit, and that's just a confidence thing. But I mean, he looked like he had what it takes to actually be a future star of the game.
Mm.
And I just haven't seen that from Nick Cox since his first handful of games. I don't see it coming. I don't see any real, X factor or standout attributes from him.
Not since that game in the first season where he was, running it and kicking it on the run
the West
for
Coast
goal.
game. Yeah.
Was it West Coast or St Kilda?
It was
anyway,
a West Coast game.
Anyway, but like...
The St Kilda game as well.
Yeah, but then like, I think it's just that he's, we look at St Kilda a week ago, they had a fairly depleted forward line. So he kind of didn't have to do too much and he was kind of able to intercept a little bit. Whereas here, because, one, the ball was down there 95% of the game, but Port Adelaide just seemed to have a more potent sort of forward line operating. So he's actually having to be a bit more accountable on someone and he's just not there yet. And, you can kind of cover him when you've got another better defender there. But in the absence of Reid, Ridley, and even a Kane Baldwin as an alternative option,
where does he fit in then? Because
I don't know.
I thought Mackay was one of our best.
I think he was
clearly,
well.
probably if
was.
not our best.
He probably was, yeah.
Right up there with Merritt. He's taking the key forward.
Mm.
Like, I know they've got other forward options there, Port, of course, because they're a good side, but how much more of a chop out are you going to get? Like, where else does he earn his position in the side? If we're relying on Jordan Ridley to support him, then does he deserve a position?
Yeah.
I'm not sure he does.
Yeah. Look, if we had a fully fit list, pre-round one, like he was in that fringe group of players. I'm not sure if he's playing round one. I don't know if he's going to be there. We're forced to play him now because unless we're going to debut someone, which we may do, or bring in...
I'm all for Hayes playing.
Or bring in Wiedemann,
especially against the Bulldogs. They've got
Yeah.
the three-pronged attack again that have been doing really, really well. I shudder to think of...
Norton's going to kick 10.
I shudder to think of who bobs up, because Mackay can only go to one of them. And then you've got Hugo Hagan, you've got Sam Darcy, you've got Aaron Norton.
God.
They'll probably bring in Rory Lobb. He'll kick 8.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that we're really good at, is getting those
Cody
VFL-style
Waitman's
players.
the one.
Waitman, another
He'll
one.
fucking kill us. Particularly on trips, McGrath.
Yeah, if he's staying, if he's
The journeyman.
yeah, if he's staying,
Loves the journey.
if he's staying so far away from his man as he was, really Willie Rioli at times.
He's an Instaman these days,
Yeah.
Andy. It's all about the recovery and not too worried about the game day.
Yeah. The bad that I want to highlight, and we're speaking about McGrath, and like I would call these players like club leaders. Now I'm not talking about the captain. I'm not talking about Dice as the former captain. I'm talking about guys who have been at the club for some time and are in that sort of more senior sort of group. So I'm talking about McGrath, I'm talking about Parrish, I'm talking about Redmond, I'm talking about Langford. Langford, you can kind of give him a pass because it's simply the fact the ball never went to the forward line from second quarter onwards, and he was playing as a deep forward. But just the lack of any sort of impact on the game from McGrath, Parrish, and Redmond is... It's crazy to think. Like, McGrath's come off an amazing game against St Kilda. He was awesome. I'll give him that. Parrish has had 2 games back from injury, 0 impact, and I don't know if it's a role change or if it's a physical thing or if it's he's had a haircut and he's changed, he's lost his powers, or he's signed a fat deal and he doesn't care as much anymore. But Raisin Redmond is not the player he was last season.
I got one for you.
Or is Nick Martin?
Yeah, that's it.
Cooking it
ding,
for him.
ding.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you to Brad Scott for another genius coaching move. Chuck that up there with Jake Kelly, moving Martin off a wing last year when he was destined for All-Australian. So, yeah, thanks for that, Brad. Yeah, it's that. It's definitely that.
Yeah.
He's just fucking around with these guys. Like, it's just something we've seen for at least 10 years, putting players in positions they have no idea how to play. And it's just costing other players. And again, it goes back to the same thing that we talked about for basically the entirety of last year, and that's selection integrity. And there is, yet again, we're finding ourselves in the position where there's absolutely no selection integrity, as far as I'm concerned anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, to play devil's advocate, and they actually had the radio and they were talking about this. They were talking about, like, the benefit of developing guys to play multiple positions. And the idea being that, yeah, right, we can develop Martin to play half-back, and there's a potential that he can play half-back, he can play wing, maybe even half-forward, and be a bit more of a versatile player, as opposed to just going, that's the one position you play, and that's where we're keeping him.
Yeah, I think he's like one of our very few goal-kicking mids, or, obviously he kind of sits on a wing a bit more outside, but there's also talk of him playing, on the inside too, and I think he's shown that he can do that. But putting that to one side for a second, he is one of those guys who genuinely kicks goals, one of those few guys who bob up frequently and have, 2 or 3 or 4 shots on goal, and we're just not seeing that this year, and he's playing in this role that really anyone can play in. And yeah, I don't understand the utility. I don't understand the rationale. Don't understand the reasoning behind it. When it seems to me that Scott is trying to play a bunch of guys who are all basically the same kind of profile player. We've got a bunch of wingers in our side now, and it's just stacking our side with wingers. Like you can put Kelly is not a winger, but he's playing in that position. Heppel arguably would play in that position. They're two of my weaker examples. But then you got Durham, who's moved into the mid now, Dersma, Martin as well. Like all of these guys are the same profile. Sardis as well. Sardis is that outside wing kind of position. And we're trying to fit them all into 2 spots. And that means that we're pushing players out onto flanks and elsewhere. And this structure is nowhere. You wonder why we get burnt going the other way when we've got all of these similar profiled, similar paced players sitting through our midfield and into our defence.
The pace, I think, is from this weekend, the lack of burst speed from the contest from everyone in that midfield. And yeah, look, it would have been nice for Durham to play. It doesn't mean it's going to turn around a 70-point margin, but
that's a selection thing.
Well, he was concussed. That was why he didn't play.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. But away from that, I'm saying is that's just like playing a one-paced midfield and selecting the same guys in the midfield each time and not lining up any differently. And we didn't roll the dice at all for that whole game. We didn't change our midfield setup. Yeah. If you look at how Port set up, they set up with an incredible amount of space through the football and then would have a Rosie or a Butters moving forward as soon as they got the ball, which they often did. Yeah. Horn-Francis killed us. Then they would all just push forward and none of our mids really went with them.
The one sweeper would try and impact it but do nothing. Like I was really expecting a lot from Setterfield. I mean, I know he's come back from an injury, but just he was nowhere near it. And then, you've Parrish, no impact.
Parrish is such a concern for me.
Yeah,
I don't see where he fits in. I don't think he's better than Caldwell.
Yeah, I mean, look, pre-season, I was really happy with how he finished that practice game against Geelong. I was like, here we go, there's something, and then gets a little injury concern, disappears for a couple of weeks, comes back, and just doesn't look what we need.
He's not providing any difference in there than what we've already got. We saw Sam Durham go in there, and I wrote down that we miss him badly because he's that one sort of point of difference alongside Perkins. Obviously now we don't have Perkins for, I don't know, I want to say 3 weeks, but knowing us, it's probably closer to 6.
Season ender. Season ender.
Torn off the bone.
Write him off, mate.
Just be 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then it'll be 2 months. So Durham will come back in this week, but yeah, Parrish and Setterfield in that same midfield got made to look like they were stuck to the floor.
I think also if you're chucking in, like Merritt's done a lot of really good defensive work, but he's not really playing through the midfield that much. He's sitting outside the contest a lot. He's not going to be that guy in the clinches who's actually putting a stop to it. Then I saw Stringer running through there. And I mean, Stringer, I think he's worked on his defensive game significantly in the last few years and it shows, but he's never going to be the guy who's, going to be a defensive beast. So there's a huge imbalance for me in that midfield and just really all over the field. When you've got, if you look at that defence, and it was a concern for me from round 1 when, we had Heppel and Jake Kelly and those kind of guys who were supposed to be lining up on guys like back then Ginnivan and Watson. Yeah. Then there was just red flags from round 1. And realistically, we should have lost that game. We should have lost it by 3 goals.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to pull up the centre bounce attendances. So this is a percentage, not as a total number. So Merritt and Setterfield 69%, Perkins 38%, Parrish 58%. Caldwell 46%. I think Hobbs went in for it, maybe 1 or 2, and then Stringer 19%. And even like I know he's the youngest of all those. Even like Hobbsy for all
Hobbsy had a stinker. Yeah.
For all his will and effort, Hobbsy is the same profile as those other blokes we've just spoken about, and his short kicking is deplorable.
That was the worst I've seen it, I have to say. And I'm a big fan of Hobbsy, and I think, you know, when he's had a chance, he's really taken it so far. And I actually reckon I think Archie is probably, if you're going to put like a single name down, I think he's probably got the biggest upside for me. But I think Hobbsy is not too far behind him. I really see him as see how much we can injure him, but I think I see him as a 300 game player.
Oh wow!
So like he had a down game. His kicking was awful. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm willing to give him a bit of a pass.
Yeah. And like he's been playing in a more advanced role, like up the ground. Like in the 2 games that I've been to, you know, he's warming up with the forward group. He's playing that old Darcy Parish half forward role where, you know, he starts there, he tries to push up to the contest at times. Sometimes he drifts forward.
It's just that predicament that's been created by our drafting as well. And like I'm really glad to have Hobbs at the club. Same with Caldwell. I think they're similar players, but
Caldwell's had a really good year.
Caldwell's great.
Yeah.
Like I love him. Perkins as well. I think he's probably got more forward kind of utility polish about him as well. But away from that, like I look at drafting Sardis, and just from a means perspective, what we needed, and from a player profile perspective, when we had Philippou there, when we had a 6'3", 6'4", prototype midfielder / forward who could kick it 70 metres.
The Scud.
Or we had an accumulator who was 183 centimetres, midfielder who could run all day but couldn't kick for shit and would get 35 each week. I don't know why we picked Sardis.
Yeah.
It was not the right.
It was strange for mine. Yeah, I thought as well. I mean, you know, time will tell what kind of player he turns out to, and it's not about saying that he's not a bad player. But yeah, I'm with you. Like as a pure profile thing, I thought it was strange.
Well, he was the risky option, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
Sardis was the safe bet.
Yeah.
And we went the safe bet.
Yeah.
Like we always go the safe bet. And that's why we're sitting here going, geez, it'd be nice to have a bit of X factor through the midfield. Be nice to have a Jason Horn-Francis or, obviously Bontempelli as well and truly
Sorry
advanced.
to cut you off, but I don't like saying it, but in 3 years' time, JHF will be the best midfielder in the comp. That guy's insane.
Did you see Harley Reid?
Yeah, he'll catch up, but I think Horn-Francis will be top dog in a couple of years, and then Harley will get him eventually. But
yeah, well,
jeez,
he looks good, but I think it's funny you say that, and I agree. But I think the one time in the last few years that we haven't done that has been Archie Perkins. You know, there are a few question marks about his attitude, his principality, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That whole year was a lottery though, because that was the COVID draft, and of all the years that Essendon gets their mint draft hand, it's the year that the kids don't play any footy, and we don't know what's going on with half of them.
At the same time, I know hindsight's 20/20, but when you draft 2 guys who are over 200 centimeters tall, in that top 10 range, then there's just so much risk in that for me. Like, and they're both beam poles, and I mean, remains to be seen what happens with them. But like that was really our chance to have a Butters, Rosie, and Dersma draft, and we have got Cox, which is good. Reid
can't get on
Archie.
the park. Yeah, Reid can't get on the park. Looks good, can't get on the field, and Archie's pretty good. And like, you know, you can go through the list. And look, there's some good players who come up after it, but they're not like, it's not, you know, the worst that's ever happened. But
you know what I love about our club on the injury front?
Oh God,
that's good. We did like this full when Dave Barham came on.
Yeah,
we did this massive club review, full review.
Yeah,
you know, we start the coach, starts heaps of people. Cleaned it all out. It was great. Kept the medicos.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
It was a good decision. Sean Murphy's having a great time. You know what actually came out of all of that?
What?
The only thing that the club really surmised out of that whole situation was that the supporters need to be more patient.
Yes.
That was it. That was a recommendation.
More patient. Well, I mean, they're turning me into a patient because I think they're making me sick at times. So, it's like just when everything's like, you have a week like this and everything goes wrong on the field and you go, all right, let's try and change it up. And you go, all right, let's make some changes to the side this week. And you look at who was available to come into the team and like, it's not much, you know, like, and it's just soft tissue injury after soft tissue injury. And we've had two guys have gone out with an injury that they've re-injured in the rehab process in Ridley and Guelphy. Dylan Shield is in James Stewart territory, just about. Like, he's about to disappear off the face of this earth.
Yeah.
And then we lose another one on the game this weekend with Perkins.
I think Menzies needs a break. I've been a massive fan of his, but you just can't routinely miss like simple goals like he does.
Yeah, we're crying out for a potent small forward at the moment, and like, I know Gresham was good, but we need another person to kind of offset that as well. And I've liked Menzies as well. I thought he had a really good year last year, but yeah, I'm ready to see ADJ have a crack for a few weeks. Like, if Menzies doing what he's doing,
it's not going to happen. But I want to see Jaden in.
Yeah, I think he needs probably just a bit more match fitness, I reckon, before he cracks the seniors.
He's got a bit of magic about him, that boy.
Bit of magic about him. Yeah.
I mean, everyone does before they start playing for us, so it's good.
Yeah, look, Menzies was very poor. Hind coming off the subs bench. I mean, I don't know.
Hind sucks.
What was that decision? What was like?
I think he was going for goal.
Really?
If you watch how he stabs the ball, like, I actually think he's going for goal and he fucks it.
Oh god!
And then if you watch his reaction as soon as he kicks it, he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah,
I actually agree with Mert. I think it was so bad that people were cutting him slack, thinking that maybe he was trying to pass.
Yeah,
but it was actually just so shit. He was having a shot.
It was just,
and people are giving him a pass because it was so bad.
Yeah, absolute shank. Good bloke, but yeah, gee, just not doing enough.
Who else can we pot?
I mean, this is my reaction. Very, very reactionary. I mean, we're a reactionary show, but my very reactionary thought on Friday night was: have we improved since the GWS game end of last season? At the time,
what do you mean since last season? Since fucking Woosha? Serious? Fucking just constantly backwards.
Yeah.
Finding novel ways of going backwards. Essendon Football Club.
It is one step forward and 10 steps back at times. Yeah. That's how it feels anyway.
Pay your membership.
Yeah, I bought a baby membership this time last week, and I'm like, that's
fucking child abuse, mate.
Cash I could have got back.
Send you to the authorities.
Yeah, it is child abuse. Geez, what else have I got on this notes? James, who do you want to tip on, mate? You can have a go. You can be respectful if you want. Up to you.
The bads list, I'm just scrolling away, and the goods list, I'm struggling to actually find where it was.
Yeah, no, go.
Well, I think his name got mentioned before, but I'll touch on it because I've already touched on it. I think in both the pods I've been on this year. But Jake Kelly playing on a wing, that's just a waste of time. I look at all the other wingers in the comp, such dominant players with a bit of X factor about them. Goulden at Sydney comes to mind. Josh Dacos at Collingwood, they're game winners. They're not out on a wing, sort of disappearing into the space and being forgotten about. They're being best on ground. I didn't catch the Collingwood Hawthorn game, but it looked like Dacos had a lot of it, and I saw a bit of the Sydney game, and Goulden looked really, really good again. And then we've got Jake Kelly. He provides no offense. I know he's a defensive player, but he's a lockdown small forward defender. Up the ground, he just gets burnt on the way back. He offers nothing in offense. He holds up the ball every time we get it to him.
Yeah, exactly.
The amount of times we transitioned okay from half back through a Redman or a Martin and got it to Kelly and he just stopped. And that was it. We were done. And then he kicked long down the line and Port knew that.
Yeah.
And overcomes Alir or whoever else was behind the footy at that time. It's just killing us. It killed us against Hawthorn. I was at that game at the G.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And I think being at the ground, you notice it tenfold.
Where you can see what's up ahead of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in this game, more than ever in 2024, if you hold up the ball, you're done.
Yeah.
You're then forced to kick to a contest or try and bite something off, which he's not capable of. He won't kick it through the corridor because his skills aren't good enough. It's just killing us.
I think he's actually like the most one-dimensional AFL player.
One-dimensional is a perfect way to describe
it. And the thing that I would say is his strength... The thing that I would say is his strength would be his physicality, but I'm not even seeing that. Like, when I saw him playing for the Crows, like you'd saw him lay blokes out, you saw him lay big tackles. When he has played sometimes as a locked-in defender, he does that. And he's very physical and he bumps out the ball, lays good tackle, makes people earn it. But when he's playing out in just paddocks of space against guys who are more of a running type player than him, there just isn't that influence. Like, it's been 4 games now. I feel like I'm yet to see him win a big one-on-one against another winger, like just flatten someone, win it, and just go. Like, it doesn't happen.
Just add to the side in any meaningful way, like at all.
Yeah.
And sorry to harp on about this point, but I just don't understand where he fits in this side.
If he's not playing,
particularly as a wing, or half forward flank, as I think he's kind of played, or maybe like an attacking winger or which is a bizarre kind of concept for a guy who has no attacking bone in his body.
Yeah.
But putting that to one side for a second, when you've got like a Dersma, like we've just recruited Dersma,
and he's been great last 2 weeks.
He's been good the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sam Durham, again, like we've moved him into the midfield, but he's that same kind of profile. Like we've got all these guys. Zach Merritt arguably plays more of a wing, like a traditional wing type role, than through the midfield these days. So, like, why?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I think it's going to be...
It's not going to change, though. I guarantee you that. And that's why...
Not this week.
Well, I don't think Brad Scott has any capacity to change any of this because he doesn't want to.
Well, we knew when Brad Scott came in that he is a coach who favours senior players, who makes people really take their time in the reserves and, quote unquote, earn their position. Chris Scott does the same thing, but because Geelong win, we kind of gloss over the fact that that's what they do. But it's the same strategy, and we get in this position where we've got guys like this who people would go, list cloggers, so to speak. This is Kelly's last year as it stands right now, and it is going to be fascinating to see what comes in the next 10 weeks, because if the thing is, right now there's no depth to challenge his position because people aren't healthy and they're not doing it. But
I don't know about that. I just think, when we've got kind of the Davies sitting in the twos and we're talking about all of these guys are the exact same profile of, 5 or 6 guys who are the exact same kind of size, have the same attributes or lack thereof through, playing in our senior list at the moment, our senior side at the moment, then how, we've got issues with forward pressure and also defensive pressure.
Yeah.
How can we not fit like a quick small in that side?
Yeah.
Why are we not juggling that around?
Well, I don't know. I feel that they're like, obviously Gresham takes up one position. Then we've had Menzies playing. Guelphy's not been in the team since he's been injured, but
I want to see Archie Roberts in. That's who I'd like to see.
I everything that from what I've watched of the VFL, everything I've read from the VFL, that he's the one who looks the most likely of the yet to debut players to crack into the side.
We want Thor.
Thor?
Yeah.
Who's Thor?
Nate Caddy.
Thor. Is that what we're calling him, are we?
He's Thor.
He is Thor. Yeah, I feel like he's a little bit of a way off. But yeah, I want to see these guys get a crack, because the one thing that irritated me coming into this season was that there were these 2 discussions from Brad Scott. There was it's all about professionalism. We want players to be professional, and that's what we're kind of doing here. We're building a professional. Great. Also, we're not sacrificing the future for this club. But I'm sorry, but if we're playing guys who are adding 0, like Kelly right now, we're not adding to the future. So
I'll give you the red hot.
Where's the balance here?
Brad Scott just talks shit. You can't trust a thing he says.
He's an AFL plant, isn't he, Mert?
He is an AFL plant.
That's the conspiracy nuts.
We had the fucking chance to bring back James Hird, and instead we just appeased the fucking AFL heavies again. We'll never get past this because all we do is kiss the AFL's ass. We don't care about winning. We don't want to win. Brad Scott doesn't want to win. He wants to crucify us.
You've been on Bob and Blitz too much, mate. Yeah, no, I look, that's the thing that upsets me. It is just this sort of, best of both worlds type conversation. And even the post-match press conference, and yes, we got murdered at the centre bounce, but that's not the sole reason we lost the game. It's it's the main reason, but it's not the only reason. And just kind of, I don't know, I like it when journalists probe coaches after
No,
losses.
there's none of that.
But I feel
There is
like
none of that. And it kills me.
I feel like there are certain coaches who just have enough of an aura about them that the journos are afraid to kind of probe. And like, they
Just
would like
ask him why he's playing Jay Kelly.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love someone to do that. I mean, not that anyone will.
You didn't want to try anything differently this week, Brad, when your mids were getting absolutely murdered. You didn't want to try and mix it up.
Yeah, that's it. We didn't.
You're an AFL plant, aren't you?
AFL plant.
I'll put to you, Brad, that you are an AFL plant.
What kind of plant is he? Cactus or one of those? Succulent. Is he succulent like the ones I'm looking at over here? Anyway, who's coming in this week to play? Durham will come in. We know
No
that.
one. It'll be Durham, and that's it, probably.
Yeah. I mean,
Happy days.
surely, like, it's a 70-point loss. Like, surely they got to change a couple of players. I'm with you. I'd like to see Hayes get a crack. I'd like to see Archie Roberts get a crack at some point. I think ADJ should just get a turn over Menzies right now because he's not offering anything in front of goal.
And if we give
just
a
spice it
player
up.
like that, or Roberts, who I hope to see come in for Kelly, believe it or not, or Hayes, just give them 4 games minimum. I don't care what they produce.
Yeah.
I don't care if they don't touch the footy. Just give them 4 games. Because and we do it all the time. Bring them in for 1.
Yeah.
It'll be
They
a
play
Nick
poorly.
Bryan.
Yeah, Nick
And
Bryan's
then they're
gonna
back
play-
out.
Yeah, Nick
They're
Bryan.
back out.
Yeah,
Menzies copped it last year as well.
Yeah, Nick Bryan will play this week. He'll play 1 game. He'll get dropped. He'll come back 12 weeks later, and at the end of the season, he'll be another football club. So
I would love to know the lies that we spat to Nick Bryan to keep him.
Well, I think
year.
he was. Oh yeah, I mean, did he sign last year? Or was he before? I guess
I think
he
he
did.
signed for at least 1 or 2.
Let's have a look.
There's a fair bit of interest in him from
2020.
my understanding
Yeah,
as well.
2025. So he's like, yeah, like we've got in front of the season.
I bet he didn't know we had Goldie at that stage.
No, like
He'd be leaving, surely.
Yeah, I like if he. I genuinely would be surprised if he doesn't request a trade at the end of the season. Like he's by far and away the best ruckman in the state league. There's gonna be another club out there who want a young ruck who are gonna go, hey, play every week. You can come in. So yeah. Anyway.
You know, in 2013, Rob.
Yeah. What do we do in 2013?
Well, we actually played. You never guess who was coaching us in 2013.
James Hurd.
Yeah, James Hurd. How'd you know?
Got good memory.
We actually played Hawthorn in round 18 that year.
Mm-hmm.
This is how good of a coach Hurdy was.
Yeah.
1v2 on the ladder.
Yeah.
Round 18.
Mm.
We were 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yep.
And then it all fell apart.
And the saga hit. Yep.
And then it all fell apart.
Beginning of the end.
Yeah. And
Only decent coach we've had in living memory. And
living memory. For us, not for. I mean, there are other people.
well, yeah, for most of our list.
Yeah.
But
For the playing list, anyway. Yeah.
we got the plant instead.
The plant. Bradley. Yeah, it's going to be
Pretty grim, isn't it? Back here again. Like, I didn't expect it. I expected it. I thought it'd happen.
later in the year.
Yeah, somewhere from July onwards. But yeah, I didn't expect it this early.
Yeah, it's always a good sign when I start getting the like funeral DMs from our listeners, and a few people tweeting, being like, "Too soon." I'm like, "Ooh." Like
It's funny because-
even Derek, I said to Derek because like Jesse was going to be here tonight, and I was like, "Oh, we've got 4 coming in." He said, "It's not suits and ties already, is it?" And I'm like, "No, we're not quite there yet."
You're presuming we've been resurrected after last year, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the club's dead after that
Yeah.
GWS game.
It's
Been dead for a long time, to be fair.
the South Park World of Warcraft episode. How do you kill that which has no life?
Yeah,
Yeah, actually no.
bang on.
Do you know how I felt this week? You know that episode of The Simpsons where Bart gets a crush on the babysitter?
Yeah.
And then she's hanging out with Jimbo, and there's that sort of cutscene where she's like, "You
Lolly
won't be
thing.
needing this," and ripped his heart out. That's how I felt on the weekend because I the nuffy part of me took over the last few weeks, and I was like, "Yeah, things are going where they want to be. We're going the right direction." I was feeling good and feeling happy, and then Essendon came and went, "Nope."
You're part of the deluded masses Rob.
Yeah, I am.
It's partly your fault.
I am the problem.
It is largely your fault.
I am the problem.
Because it's all these people who continue, like I have in fairness, for the last 15, 20 years, who continue to give their money to this pathetic organisation. Meanwhile, this pathetic organisation continues to take the piss because they know they're getting the money anyway. I say fuck them.
Yeah.
Stop giving them your money.
Is that organisation this show? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
No, give us your money.
Yeah.
Don't give it to the fucking
therapy.
club.
Yeah, buy Plains Beanie, but yeah, exactly. I mean, I do charge. I should get a license to be a therapist, I reckon. I reckon I could do it. Boys, any more points on this game before we get into some hot takes? Good or bad? Anything else you want to discuss? I mean, we touched on a few of the goods, but I mean, is there anything else you want, James?
Oh, I had red time goals written down. I feel like we were conceding goals all the time in this game, but those 3 goals when Rioli kicked that goal, there was 1 minute and 27 seconds left before half time, and we conceded 2 more.
That's terrible.
I feel like we do that all the time.
We do.
Even in games we're winning, we'll still concede a goal right before quarter time or half time or whatever it is. And then I went back and watched that sequence. Not sure why I did it. But just error after error after error. McGrath, the vice captain of our club, with 3 seconds on the clock, maybe a couple more because I had enough time to go and kick the bloody goal, decides instead of kicking it long down the line, he's going to bite off a kick through the corridor. I just don't understand it.
It's probably tripping again.
We speak about it was about chronic injury crisis at the club, but yeah, we have a chronic red time problem. And it has been that way for a long time.
And an injury crisis.
Yeah, and an injury crisis. Well,
and the rest.
And the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, the club is chronic. But they, you almost wonder, it's like, you know how they have because obviously they don't have runners anymore. You know, they're the guys who hold the signs being 5 minutes to go. I feel like at Essendon, we should almost just lie to the players and go, there's still another 10 minutes to go, so they don't do whatever they seem to do mentally and shut down with 2 minutes to go. Yeah, it is a big problem. All right, let's take a breather. And we'll come back and we will talk about some hot takes. And I feel like there might be a dog of the week, Mert. I'm just preempting it, but I feel like there's a Port Adelaide player who might have said something or did something who deserves a bit of a clip.
I don't know if they're a poor player, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, back after this. Attention all homeowners. Are you frustrated with your current property manager? Not receiving your rental payments on time? Property maintenance issues taking their toll? Well, say hello to Holland Price Real Estate, your trusted property management specialist. Based in Melbourne's north, Holland Price is a long-standing family-run real estate agency with over 50 years of industry experience. What sets them apart is their dedication to providing a personalised service tailored to your specific needs. By choosing Holland Price to manage your property, you're not only supporting a small business, but also backing the Essendon Football Club, as director Carl De Sanctis is a passionate Bombers supporter. Well, aren't we all? For homeowners who believe it's time for a management change, why not make the move to Holland Price? For a limited time, they're offering an exclusive deal for listeners of The Sash. When you jump on board with Holland Price, use the code HPSASH to receive 1 month of their premium property service management free of charge. So head over to their website, hollandprice.com.au, or give them a call on 03 9384 0022 to discuss your property needs and use HPSASH to get 1 month off the premium property management service.
Yes. Get it off.
Back to the pod. Welcome back. Part 2 of the show. Time for some hot takes. Thank you to everyone who sent them through. We appreciate all of you. As you can imagine, plenty of them that simply can never be aired. Some relevant to Essendon, some not relevant to Essendon at all. But we appreciate you all nonetheless. So let's get stuck into it. The first one we've got is from Roaming Red Dog. Thank you.
First and foremost, can I get a welfare check on Mert? Secondly, shout out to you boys doing a 50-minute plus pod this week. I don't know what the fuck you're going to talk about because that was an absolute horrific display of football. And finally, the only good thing to come out of this is we lost by 69 points. Nice. Go Plains. Also, fuck the Plains.
Welfare check, Mert. How you going?
Yeah.
Seen better days. Bit Pete Murray. Next one is from GC from the B.
Off the edge. Tough month coming up.
There we go. Does feel like we've fallen off the Essendon edge. Yeah.
Yeah, when you come out and talk a big game and then deliver that, it's you're asking for trouble. Oh, just on that quickly, did any of you boys see that video that we put up on Instagram going around to all the players saying who's going to be best on ground, what are we going to do? And you've got Harry Jones saying, Parrish will have 44, and one of the other players, Langers will kick 6.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, don't look at it.
Mate.
What are we doing? Like, we're asking to be just
see, the first one was Paco, and Paco was like, fuck, am I really doing this? Like, he didn't even look at the camera. He was like, nah.
Yeah, don't like that.
No, it was fucking awful.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, let the fans do their nuffy predictions. Like, we don't need to do that.
Also, that pre-game graphic that they put up, like, fucking hell, they didn't even have goalposts up. They had a soccer goal and fucking rugby posts.
Yeah, was that done by AI? I don't know what's going on there.
Mate, AI would actually do a good job.
Yeah, AI might do a good job. AI's going to take my job one day. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think the robots are coming to get us, mate.
Can we get some AI on field? That's what maybe we need. Maybe a bit of artificial intelligence out there. Any robots who can come play for the Essendon Football Club.
Yeah, just any intelligence.
This one's from the Metaphor Man, who the Metaphor Man sent 4 clips through. We're only playing one of the 4, so thank you, Metaphor Man.
I'm high on the hill, looking over the bridge to the Housing Commission. And me and my brother are walking up Johnson to Luley Tavern. Please drop Nick Hahn. Please drop Nick Hahn. I want to drop Nick Hahn. Come on, baby. I want to drop Nick Hahn. I want to drop Nick Hahn.
Yeah, so that guy sent 4 through. That was great. But yeah, can't ever play any of those other ones you sent through, buddy. But thank you for them. Yeah, one of those was that one we were listening to before the show, gents. Just so you understand. Yep, that one that has the one that has zero relevance to the Essendon Football Club, but some very interesting allegations. All right, next one's from Darby. Thanks, mate.
Hey boys, how's it going? It's scary. For the first time I think I've felt since probably somewhere near the drug saga, I'd imagine. I feel for the first time complete and utter hopelessness. Like I was hoping that Skull would have been able to put a consistency into us, but it seems like it's an actual culture issue at this point. The inconsistency. Like we drop our heads so easily. Like it's kind of a shock. Like you watch them and you think, they might need some therapy. Some of the players might actually need therapy. That's not an insult to their character. That's just a genuine concern for their for their health and well-being. It spins me out. Whenever I put in a hot take, I usually put in a comedic flair, something to get people laughing, because positive and negative, I try to stay optimistic, but this is really, it's scared me more than it's made me feel anything else. I might be watching this same team for the next 10 years because it's just a culture issue. It's fucking weird, man. We got good players. We shouldn't be this uncompetitive. It's scary. But as an Edge of an Abyss fanboy, I'll end it on a good note. Bad note. We're shit.
To the point he was making there, I guess that was kind of tying into that earlier discussion I had when I brought up Merritt, Parrish, and Redmond together. They're the sort of core of the guys who've been at the club for 7 or 8 years, whatever, and you just sort of expect would be more reliable and more dependable. And putting any sort of physical or injury issues aside, it's is there actually a mental issue with some of these players of just wilting? Because I remember when, and we've potted him very hard tonight, but I remember when Jake Kelly first came to the club, he spoke about how there was a problem amongst the playing group where when things would go bad, they would just lay down their weapons and go, yeah, we're done, we've lost. Let's move on to next week. And he's just like, we never did that at Adelaide. He's like, we didn't do that. It was always like, nah, let's keep going. All right, didn't happen. And I do wonder if there is this issue with a big majority of the playing group, probably some of the older ones, who just go, oh, well, it's not happening. Let's pack it up. Let's try and conserve ourselves for next week. Or maybe I'm talking shit. I don't know.
I think we have a problem with drafting uncompetitive footballers.
Yeah.
Guys who interview well, who are really friendly, lovely guys. Is that really who you want in such a competitive environment?
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The journeyman.
The journeyman.
Number one.
The journeyman.
Yeah.
Next one's from Braden from South Australia. Thank you, Braden.
We're back, baby. We are back. The lid is firmly on, and the Essendon Football Club that we know and love is back in business. What a fucking disgrace that was tonight. Absolutely disgraceful. I drove all the way to Gather Round, which for me is like a 20, 25-minute drive, but that's not the point. I drive all the way to Gather Round, and that's the fucking performance they put on. It was just fucking embarrassing. Bloody Jason Horne-Francis and Connor Rosie brought their own ball. I was not under the impression you were allowed to do that. But they fucking did, and they towed us up left, right, and centre. Absolutely disgraceful. And to make it even worse, because it's Gather Round, I'm standing on the hill, I'm surrounded by every possible fucking supporter. Fucking Collingwood, fucking Carlton, fucking Hawthorn. They were fucking everywhere. And it just made the night even more shit. BZT didn't do anything, though, so that's a bit of a plus. But he didn't fucking have to, did he? Did he? Because we couldn't even fucking kick it into our forward line properly. Oh! But anyway, I'll go Plains. I'll be there in 2 weeks anyway again to watch us get probably towed up by Adelaide. Go Plains again.
Thank you,
Go
Braden.
Plains.
Keep going. Thanks, Braden. Well said. Yeah. We met Braden last year. Great fella.
I remember.
Great fella.
Better days.
Better days on the hill last year in the rain.
Scandinavians.
God
bless them.
Beating the D's, hang out with some... They actually were Port Adelaide fans who were from somewhere in Scandinavia.
Yeah. They were just fucking legends.
They were just legends.
Gave us heaps of free shit too.
Yeah, they
just fantastic.
They looked after us. Us, to say the least.
Good lads.
Gonery.
It's a great weekend.
That was a great weekend. Next one is from Mert Save Us.
Our midfield should be, at least it's a few years older than Butters, Rosie, Horne-Francis, and fucking Soldo. And yet, we got a bath. Got absolutely washed. I seriously want to see more from Parrish coming up in the next few weeks. It's just... yeah. Anyways, I have to go spend the rest of the weekend with my missus, pretending that I'm not depressed because of Essendon. Should be good fun. Depressing is real, boys. Go Dogs.
Depressing. I've been there. We actually haven't spoken about the rucks tonight. And previous 2 weeks, like not Todd Marshall. What's his name? Rowan Marshall and Brodie Grundy. You know, I feel like a lot of time and effort goes into preparing for that. It reeked of me of 2 rucks just thinking that Soldo won't be much chop. But he ripped them apart. Both of them. I think Draper sometimes needs to just play the percentages and just sometimes if you just get it forward, doesn't always have to do the unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Goldie, you know, for the first time this season, and it was always going to come, was looking pretty slow and lethargic. But yeah, Soldo taught him a lesson, an absolute lesson. So, yeah. Anything to add?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. It seems to always be those fringe on the verge of playing VFL that get a game and they come up against Essendon and they look bloody $1 million and you can add Soldo to that list.
Yep. Add him to the list. Next one is from I Need Therapy.
Well, lads, I feel like I'm every other Essendon supporter out there where we are now, grounded. And I say grounded because last week we got ahead of ourselves. We thought we were going to the promised land in fucking April. And We just got towered up by a very, very good Port Adelaide midfield. And we just stood there and watched them run rings around us. It's hard to bring an Essendon edge when you're about as sharp as a butter knife. That's how blunt we were last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm bringing out Dog of the Week already. Fair dinkum, Rob. You talk about finals the week before and we deliver a message like that. You're hyping us up too much.
Mm.
And I tell you what, Fred's going to love this week, so I can tell you what, there'll be plenty of swear words come out of this. Or maybe it's just a blip.
Yeah.
But we thought last year was a blip. But I saw a lot of the last 2 weeks last year in 2 quarters of footy last night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm lost. I need guidance. I need therapy. I just need fucking something.
There we go.
Go, boys. Go, Dons.
Did I say the F word last week? Did I say it?
I can't remember it.
I'm
not saying you didn't.
I mean, I don't feel like I said it. I mean, I felt like we were playing some all right football, but I don't know if I said the F word. I mean, look, I could have. Don't get me wrong.
You dropped one.
I might have.
Now that I think about it,
maybe I dropped one. But don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, no, I feel your pain there, bud. Whoever sent that through, I feel your pain, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I got your hopes up. I too get carried away when we have a okay couple of games.
Just get rid of your expectation, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, that's how I felt pre-season, and then it just came back. It just comes back, and it gets you
right
again,
mate.
Every time. I just can't help it. You know, in the intro, Ryan, don't get sucked in, and what do? I get sucked in. So, anyway, a couple more. Next one's from Pat. Thank you, Pat.
Morning from the great city of Adelaide, boys. Not the best game for us. Lots to work on. But just one of the great weekends in Adelaide. Me and the Swans, mate, off to the fucking woolshed last night. Just elite. Lots of good talent around there to get into. Off to Adelaide Hills now for a real game. Sydney West Coast, and just one of the great weekends. So just thought I'd plug Adelaide here, and we move on to the Bulldogs next week. Watch a real club today, mate.
Just a drive by from his mate there at the end. Yeah, Adelaide's a great city. We know that. So
Yep.
Yep.
No arguments here.
This next one should be good. Exclusive audio from Brad Scott's post-game. That's what it says here. So let's have a listen.
Down by 3 at quarter time. Lost by 69. Go and fuck yourself, fellas. I could rant and rave, but today's the day. It's not the day the Teddy Bears had their picnic. It's the day I realised I'm coaching a shit football team. A bunch of blokes that aren't there. Mentally, we're not there. Physically, we're not there. And it's doing my fucking head in. Menzie, don't know if I like you. I love you. But do you love playing footy?
I wonder if that guy coaches like under 12s footy team.
Echoing that YouTube video.
2 more. This one's from Nels. Thank you, Nels.
Now, I know a lot of folks are going to be saying the same kind of stuff. Nick Cox will be dropped. Kelly can't play on the wing. Harry Jones can't kick straight. Really, there's only one thing we should be saying. We're shit.
There we go. To the point from Nels.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
I think it's everyone.
I just opened Bomber Blitz just because I was interested to see what they were going on. And it's always a really good sign of Bomber Blitz when after a loss, the number one topic trending is the Adrian Dodoro threat.
Well, according to my mate who frequents Bomber Blitz heaps, apparently it was all just a coaching fiasco because the stats actually said that we had more repeated sprints than Port Adelaide.
Repeated sprints?
And normally because we're so low on those numbers, typically, if we had those kinds of numbers for repeated sprints, you could almost bet that we would have won the game. So That's what you get from Bomber Blitz.
That's wild. Yeah,
Not meaning to offend anyone out there, but yeah.
I mean, we're probably
my mate's a fucking idiot.
We're probably sprinting away from the ball. Repeated sprints. That's of all the stats, and like there are some good stats in footy. There are some really rogue stats which people try and say that are really important that I don't think are. But yeah, repeated sprints, definitely bottom of the barrel for me.
Conceding 19 centre clearances, I reckon there was probably some repeated sprints after the blokes with the ball.
All right, last one. The soothing tones from Rory from Scotland.
Hi guys, Rory from Scotland here again. Tuning in to Essendon Port to see the package get delivered by Jakey Boy. The only package that got delivered was Connor Rosie's right up our winking brown eye. Jesus Christ, that was piss poor, especially that second quarter. But I don't think you could even be really that annoyed with the coaching or the players. I think it just kind of highlighted where we are. We're in that middle pack. We lack the truly world-class players to go out there and contend with the big guns. I think the big problem's recruitment, especially in the midfield. There's just too many boys that do the same thing. They can win the ball, but they cannot do anything with it. Poor handballs, poor kicks, no one really striding forward like Rosie and kicking goals from everywhere, just taking the game by the scruff of the neck. So yeah, pretty chastening result, and I think we really need to look at the makeup of the list and how we go about changing that to really use the ball a lot better, avoid turnovers, and really be able to avoid these horrible runs where we concede multiple goals in a row.
Well said, Rory.
It's a really good point, I think, on the drafting and particularly with guys who dispose of the ball well, because it just doesn't seem to have been a focus of ours at all. And if you look at good sides, like you look at Collingwood last year, you look at Hawthorn through their prime years. The best sides in the competition are the ones who can use the ball well.
Yeah,
they move it quickly, typically. But if they don't, they're hitting their targets, and that's always really been the case in modern football. We're so far off that.
Yeah.
We've just got a bunch of guys who have no fucking idea how to kick.
Yeah, I mean, like they've obviously got someone there to now try and reteach people how to kick, and we hope that.
Well, I know we spent the whole preseason with Sardis trying to teach him how to kick.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah,
which we like, but might take a bit more time. So.
We could have picked the guy who could fucking kick before that, couldn't we?
We could have.
Yeah, Philippou. Would have been great.
But we didn't. Thank you, Rory. Thanks to everyone who sent them through. Sorry those who didn't get played this week. Maybe next time. Some great news just to round off the show, boys. Archie Perkins will miss a month of footy. So
saw that.
That's great.
Happy days.
Love that.
Reported by Channel 7.
Love that.
Good.
Love that. We love the fact that he's going to miss. It's just so good. Mert, did you want to do a dog of the week? We can't be bothered.
How'd you know?
Oh, just might have been a discussion that we had. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I actually did. There was obviously aside from our awful performance, a pretty big, pretty awful story to come out of the game. Really, I would have thought as a society we'd actually moved beyond this point. The old degenerate Koshy actually mentioned Tex Walker from a few years back. Maybe it's an Adelaide thing. I don't know. Maybe it's something in the water there. Got no doubt that this individual will get off with a fine or be swept under the rug, similar to that shameful AFL response to Tex's outright disgusting, typical bullshit from a country fucking bogan. But yeah, end of the day, it really is just fucking disgraceful. It's simply not good enough. Like to think, we might have been belted. We were. At least we're not bigoted. So Jeremy Finlayson, forever the cunt who got one kick in a granny. So good on you, dipshit.
Yeah, dog of the week coming towards you, Jeremy Finlayson. Boys, it's been a great show. It's been an R-rated show. I'm going to have to do a fair bit of editing to this one.
Late night for you.
Late night for Rob. getting the transcriber out and searching the C word, I reckon, but that's okay. We might.
You should just call the episode just
explicit.
Yeah, explicit.
Explicit only. Don't listen.
Yeah, don't ever listen to this shit and don't watch Essendon ever again.
Yeah. Anyway,
warning, explicit content.
Well, yeah,
That's
I mean,
it.
4 days ago, or 3 days ago, whatever that Thursday was, I was talking to Kingo about going standing room Friday night to the game, and I'm really feeling I don't want to do that now, but there's also that tortured part of me that wants to go witness another murder on
There is
Marvel
no
Stadium.
fucking way.
You don't want to
There's
come?
not a chance in hell.
You don't want to come?
No fucking way. Absolutely, you could not pay me.
Yeah. It's not looking good. I'm feeling pretty bad about that one. So, yeah. Norton for 10, I reckon.
Nah.
When have we ever got close to beating the Bulldogs? Have we done it recently?
That random one where Peter Wright kicked 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was mint, around 22 or whatever.
Yeah, and then we lost them in a final 2 weeks
That was
later.
about 70 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, know that feeling?
Yeah. So, anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to our sponsors who support the show, FE Custom and Holland Price Real Estate. Go check them out if you need some custom gear or you need some property management done by some wonderful people. Thanks to all our premium subscribers. We love you all. Premium show out on Thursday to preview the Doggies game. Who knows, maybe with a few more days rest, we may be a bit more positive coming into that, but I feel like we might be echoing these discussions. I know Jesse's got a few things he wants to discuss come Thursday. Is there anyone else I should thank? Sponsors, people who pay. Derek, thanks Derek. Thanks boys. Thanks
Derek.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks to everyone who's listening and watching. Rate and subscribe if you want to. Someone said we were too negative. They don't like the show anymore. And I was trying to work out when it was.
Just
I think
fucking turn it off.
I think
man.
Don't tune into this one.
I think it was after I interviewed Mark Robinson, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess he doesn't want to hear that. But anyway, that's all for us for this evening. Look after yourselves, everyone. Stay safe. Keep your heads up, and who knows? Maybe we'll get out of the Essendon abyss one day. Bye.